stares right through you, a horrified look upon her face.
They took the realm. They took it all. But they don't know what it is. They don't know what they have.
Hope flashes in her eyes as she tries to focus upon you.
Those black green dogs. They took the universe, but they don't know what it is. I pray they do not think to try to use it.
She turns away. A saltwater crocodile looks around, seemingly disoriented. It spots you.
Where'd the water go? Why does my head hurt so much? The shore, yes. After a rest.
The crocodile slumps down and closes its eyes.
Ugh.
If I understand this correctly, it reads, walk safely in Vrogir's path. If I understand this correctly, it looks like this place gave the Black Ring a bloody nose. Best be careful ahead.
An ancient-looking lever stands before you. It's still damp from the recently receded floodwaters. There's a small slot in the side of the lever, almost like a keyhole. A deep rumble heralds the wall beyond sliding downwards, a hidden door.
Vrogir's culture was so focused on brutality and violence, yet they write so beautifully of it.
The grim drip, drip, drip of floodwater and the bloated body at your feet make this place feel more like a defiled tomb than a temple. Nevertheless, you approach the altar. Your vision clouds, and you open your eyes to a dark glade. Before you lies a bull, trapped beneath a fallen tree. It stares at you with malevolent eyes. As you watch, it transforms to a bear, claws digging into the earth as it struggles to dislodge the log. You blink, and it turns again. A gorilla now. It's vaulted back, pushing hard against the wood. After a few more minutes' struggle, it slumps to the ground, defeated, and its contemptuous eyes return to you.
Strength! Give me your vigor!
You feel your god slip out of your body and skitter across the ground to Vrogir. As you watch, ants start to pour out of the tree's trunk, scurrying towards the ape. As the insects flow over the gorilla, it starts to thrash in panic. It screams in pain as the ants start to bite every piece of exposed flesh. Blood starts to mat his fur, and Vrogir glows with an inner light. He grows brighter and brighter until his body bursts into bright yellow flames, burning the ants away. The blinding force of the flames pushes you back, driving you away from the glade, away from the vision, and away from the altar. You slowly return to your senses, the smell of damp death filling your nostrils. You see that a crude sun pictograph has been hacked into the altar's rock. The altar sits before you, defiantly silent. You see the image of a sun crudely carved into the rock. The altar sits before you, kneeling before you is the spirit of a priest, an orc priest. He produces an ornate dagger and slices open the palm of his hand. Around him, a sound suddenly rises to a roar of rushing water.
Vrogir, I am your servant to my last breath.
He daubs the altar with his spectral blood and bows. The roar of water intensifies. He is suddenly swept forward. His skull hits the altar with a crunch. The spirit of another orc stands before you, a priestess. She gapes at something looming high above her, approaching from the other side of the hall. She staggers back a few steps. An echoing roar fills your ears, rushing water. The priestess turns to flee, but is suddenly blasted off her feet by an immense, unseen force.
What's this? I found something.
this one is formidably armored and extraordinarily angry.
Dogs, skulking vermin, cowards.
He hurls the warhammer away with a final yell before turning to you with a deep scowl, panting for breath that he no longer needs.
Godwoken, you're here. Did you kill the Black Ring grunts who defiled Rogir's temple, who flooded this sacred temple rather than test me in battle? Good. Heretics deserve only death. This temple was a fortress. My traps made it untouchable, unpassable. That weasel, that sallow man, he responded not with strength, but with soggy cowardice, and made me look the fool. Face me, you milk-livered mouse! The world grew too civilized for us. No plunder, no glory, nothing to make our hearts quicken. My people left you in your cities and farms and soft beds. They went far in search of a place where they could be alive. But I am a knight of Varogia. I stand vigil. I do not know what became of them.
Fury envelops the spirit's features. His roar echoes around the chamber, even after he is gone.
If I understand this correctly, it reads, walk safely in Grogir's path.
As if from nowhere, a sweating warrior appears before you.
Who the hell's be yow?
If thou not be with the God King, thou be against. So rejoice, I bring out death.
Fading.
The Reaper for me.
Breathless, the Magister fishes out a canteen of water. She gulps half of it down, then splashes blood and grime from her face with the rest. She nods at you, a touch wary.
My thanks for your help. But who are you? Godwoken. There's only one Godwoken on this island, and it isn't you. I owe you, but it doesn't mean I'll tolerate blasphemy either, understand? Anyway, if you need shelter, look for the Bishop and the rest of my comrades. They retreated north to our rendezvous point. We'll head there once we've tended to our fallen. Our true leader has returned and united us. It's nothing short of a miracle he's made it this far. He's dodged assassins more than once. Now it's our holy duty to safeguard him until he becomes the next divine. And that means putting these Black Ring devils to the sword. Isn't it bloody obvious? They're destroying the sacred temples and killing everyone in sight. If I were you, I'd get out of the open as soon as possible.
The sooner I find my brethren, the better, if they're even still alive. I'm glad to hear it. I ought to see if the Bishop and the others survived, though. Without them, this old mission is for naught.
He slings a quiver of arrows across his back and nods.
Eyes sharp.
I've never seen ruins like these.
You don't get out much, do you? Boring. This again?
The Magister Priestess has her head bowed against her staff as she murmurs a prayer for the dead.
Merciful Seven, watch over your fallen warriors. Usher them onwards to the Hall of Echoes.
Black Ring? I thought they were a spent force. Clearly not.
This place will be nice when it's finished.
Better to knock it all down and start again.
The altar stands before you, flecked with moss and the cracks of age. An ant crawls across the surface, dipping in and out of the inscription that's engraved on the rock. In honor of Ralik, first of the gods and patron of humanity. As your prayer drifts away on the breeze, you feel the world around you shift. You open your eyes to a courtyard with wooden targets and practice posts scattered about. A man stands in the center of the court, his face turned towards the sun, his eyes wide open. He's old, grey hair matted against his skin, but you still recognize him, Ralik. He doesn't look over as you approach. It's only when you're standing right beside him that you see that his eyes are clouded and grey as his hair. He is completely blind.
Go, Godwoken. Find the Well of Ascension. Do your duty.
The vision fades, and you stand once more in the shadow-speckled glade of Ralik's temple. Looking down at the altar, you see a faded symbol for the sun carved into the rock. The spirit of a woman in strange armor stands before you. Visible on her breastplate is the seal of Ralik.
Godwoken, you're late. The world bleeds while you dawdle. Linger no more. The trials await. Because I was the same as you once. A Godwoken.
She looks you over once again. The judgmental arch of her eyebrows suggests you're less than she had hoped for.
Perhaps not exactly like you, but I heard the call and came here to face the trials of the gods. I was not chosen for divinity. Instead, I became a guardian of this temple, a knight of Rallick. The Black Ring ended my vigil. They came, intent on destroying this place. I fought them off as long as I could, but there were too many. There was a reluctance in my heart, a lingering doubt. To be divine is to shoulder a great responsibility. Deep down, I didn't want that responsibility for myself. The gods must have sensed my unwillingness. Still, I wanted to serve them. I became a Knight of Rallick that day. The altars shall show the way, but only to those deemed worthy. Bow and pray to each altar. The way may be revealed to you then. Or it may not. If the gods do not choose you to progress, then you'll likely share my fate.
A brief note of incomprehension and fear creeps across the spirit's features. She regains her composure and shakes her head.
No, that cannot be true. It cannot. Pray at the altars and seek the path into the council. The gods will not fail us, you'll see.